Welcome back to the AGP slot. Today we're going to be taking a look at Mandrakelinux 10.0 Discovery Edition. So what this is essentially the download edition, except it comes in a box. So Discovery replaced download edition, which was completely free to get off the internet back then, and they just renamed it. So we're going to take a look at this. I got this on eBay, about 20 bucks. It's a little beat up, but I mean, this thing is how old now? At least 20 years. So here they give you a little bit of information about it. At the very bottom here, you can see that there's a CodeWeavers logo, along with KDE, Real Player, Adobe, all that good stuff from back in the day. But I don't think it actually came with this stuff, because normally you would not get proprietary commercial software. Normally you'd have to get the power pack, which had all the additional software and drivers and stuff like that. So this came out in, I believe, 2005, right around that time. And I personally didn't really use this. And at the computer shop where I got my computer from, they were using a later edition, probably 10.1 at the time. And I thought it looked a lot different compared to what I had, or what I had used on my system back then. So we're gonna check it out, and this will be my first experience with it. It should have a lot better hardware support, and I'm hoping that there's actually Enforce 2 IDE drivers, and I don't have to really do anything except maybe install the graphics card driver. Because in all my previous videos about Mandrake, I always had some kind of problem with UDMA not working correctly on Enforce 2. Of course, I had an ECS board, and everything worked pretty much fine with that. And when I upgraded to Enforce 2, everything kind of fell apart with Linux. Seems to be mostly an NVIDIA thing. I guess their drivers just were not in the kernel yet. And according to their website, they had Enforce 2 drivers for Linux going the whole way up to like 2008 or 2009, possibly a little later than that too. So I'm not sure why that would be if most of the drivers are in the kernel. I guess they were just proprietary and you had to install them like the graphics drivers. And that's extremely annoying because it's really hard to get the right one for your distro. And when I would install it, it still wouldn't work. Could never figure out anything. So that's what we're doing now. We're upgrading to Mandrake 10, see what it has to offer, and then we're going to get 10.1 possibly in another video. Alright, on the side of the box here, you can see that it says it supports NVIDIA and ATI there at the bottom here, in the middle now. And it has a lot of hardware support, and kernel 2.4, oh, and 2.6. So maybe you get the option, I don't know. But yeah, as always, usually supports a lot of stuff. But we're gonna see how true that is with Enforce 2. So it only came with 2 CDs. That's pretty standard for the download edition or Discovery edition. Later on they moved to a DVD, and so they were able to fit more software onto it. But for this, only 2. I believe this box had some water damage as well. As you can see right here, there's some kind of like water line possibly. Could be part of the box, but I don't know. The inside smells really weird. Like I said, I got this on eBay. Basically trying to collect all the Mandrakelinux CDs that were officially printed and sold in stores. So it also came with user manual. Yeah, there's definitely some kind of water damage. Maybe you can see that right here. Definitely got wet at some point, but not much real damage to it. Everything looks right. It's not like smeared or anything. So this is pretty similar to Power Pack 9.0. I guess they just updated the graphics and tweaked a few things here and there for Mandrake 10. And we also got product registration key and an advertisement for the other editions with the Power Pack, Power Pack Plus. And I also don't think I can find these power packs, but I'll have to check. Definitely not Power Pack Plus. And they give you a little more information about commercial support, stuff like that. That was a big deal with Linux back then, because usually the distros were totally free. You could download them, install them, whatever. But if you wanted help and support, then you could pay for it, and that's how they made money. Instead of selling Linux and the entire OS, you would pay for support. And I don't think too many companies made it work, except for Red Hat, maybe SUSE as well. So before we get started here with these installation CDs, I went ahead and checked, and I do have what I believe is the power pack for 10.0. So in my archive here of old ISOs, it says extra pack, and it looks like there's 7 or 8 CDs, well, ISO images. And after we get this one installed, I think I'm gonna burn those 2 CDs and we're gonna install that next, so then we can actually compare and see what the difference was. Because I think this one right here, all the shortcut menu options are like click here to fax, click here to browse the internet, you know, really novice beginner things. And the power pack's probably gonna have the actual application names along with a lot more software. So this one right here is definitely for beginners. It's meant for people that really don't know what they're doing or don't know how to use Linux or a computer really, because this probably would have been a bit cheaper than buying Windows and installing it and stuff like that if it didn't come with your system, or if you didn't want to pay for an upgrade, you know. So that's what we're gonna do. We're gonna install this, check it out, and then I think in this same video, once we're done with 10.0, we'll install 10.1 power pack, see what any of the differences are, and go from there. And actually, I think what we'll do, once this is installed, since it probably comes with a CD burner, we'll burn the 10.0 power packs on this system, if I can get that to work. So that'll be pretty cool. Maybe we'll burn some DVDs too, because I also have a DVD version and the CD version. Actually, no, we will not be burning a DVD because I have the 10.1 download edition of the DVD, and I have the power pack for 10.0 on CD. So they probably didn't do the DVD thing until 10.1 then. But that's alright, we'll still burn them all, put them in a CD case. So let's get started. Okay, this appears to be called MandrakeMove. One thing I forgot to mention is I did get some speakers here, as you can see. I'm not sure if they work or not, because I tried them on my Mac and didn't get anything out of them. Tried it on this system here, couldn't hear anything. So maybe once we get this installed, we'll see. And this apparently came out in 2003 in early December. So yeah, my memory is way off on these. I guess what I'm thinking of is when they switched over to Mandriva, which was around 2005. So I definitely could have been using this on an Athlon XP system just like this back then. So they must have been releasing things very quickly, because 9.1 and 9.2 also came out in 2003. So unfortunately it looks like we do not have video drivers working. Alright, so since there's no drivers, we're gonna have to install it a different way. So we're gonna try VGA 16. See if that helps. This should prevent it from loading the NVIDIA driver, because I still want to be able to see the graphical install. I don't think I've ever used it before, at least on 10. No, it doesn't seem to work. So I'm gonna try no frame buffer. Hopefully this works, because I don't think I'm going to swap the card for the GeForce 2, which should have a lot better compatibility. So if this doesn't work, then we're just going to do the text install, and then get the driver manually after booting back up once it's installed. Nah, I don't think it's working. So the good news is, when we do the power pack, we'll still be able to see the install, because it should have the actual proprietary driver, not the open source one, which is what's causing these issues. And this was my experience back in the day too. Anytime I try to boot up some Linux installer like Mandrake 9.2 or something, it didn't have drivers and then you couldn't install it. So one last thing I'll do is try no mode set. I don't know if that's going to be supported or not, but we'll see. Last attempt here before we try the text install. Yep, still not working, so unfortunately text install it is. You know, I think I want to try no auto detect. Maybe that'll fix it. But we might have to select all the hardware, and that's going to be annoying. See if we can get some kind of GUI. Oh, that's okay. Oh, but no USB? Oh boy. Well, this is gonna be a problem. So if there's no auto detection, then USB doesn't work. And I don't have a PS2 mouse or keyboard. But yeah, at least we got to see this, I guess. It looks a little bit more modern than 9.2, I guess. So unfortunately we're gonna have to just use the text installer because this is not gonna work. One nice thing about this is it will be able to do everything that the graphical install can do. It just won't look as nice. Oh no, is it not working either? Oh, this is a bummer. Well, I guess I'm gonna put the GeForce 2 in because even the text install does not work. And that's very odd. So that's the only solution that I can come up with at this moment. So that's what I'm going to do, and then we'll be right back. Here's old reliable going right back in. That's where I always have issues with these newer cards on Mandrake. It just never wants to work, but GeForce 2 works perfectly fine every single time. And this is what we're going to stick with for Mandrake 10, I guess. Don't have to keep swapping cards in and out. Oh no, is nothing gonna work? Oh. Well, I can try some of those options again. Yeah, this is a real struggle. Just non-stop NVIDIA compatibility issues. So I might have to be skipping this if I can't get it to load. Let's go straight to Power Pack. It's kind of a bummer. I do have ATI cards, but they're a lot newer, so I don't know if they would have the same issue, or maybe it wouldn't be able to find a driver so it would actually work. Yeah, still the same issue. I believe this video is going to be nothing works like always. Seems to be my luck with old school Mandrakelinux. One thing after another. It's either USB, IDE, Enforce 2, sound doesn't work, NVIDIA driver doesn't want to work. It's always just something. Oh, and a kernel panic. Okay, that's fun. If I bought this in a store back then, I would be very disappointed. But again, this motherboard is a bit newer. The BIOS it's running is from 2005, I think. So yeah, if you had older hardware, older motherboard at least, this would probably be working perfectly. Although NVIDIA is still an issue, of course. So if this doesn't work, I'm just gonna start burning CDs upstairs. So this is still not working. Now if I had some kind of VGA capture, then maybe I could see the output, because I had this exact same issue over DVI. I was able to see the capture, but not on the monitor. So what it's doing is it's setting the resolution way too high, or a frequency that it can't display. Like it's trying to do 80 Hertz or something like that. So unfortunately, we're gonna have to skip these CDs, I think. Could probably try them in a VM, but that's not the same. So yeah, can't get 10.0 Discovery Edition to work. And now I'm gonna burn all those CDs. So at least I'll have them, even if that also does not work. So yeah, we'll find out. And I'll be right back. And I'm back with a fat stack of 7 CDs. I swear it took like an hour just to do all of these. And it was not exactly fun. So I did have a DVD on there as well, but I'm not sure if it included all the same software because it was only 2.4 gigs or so, and I feel like 7 CDs of about 700 megs each would be more than that. So yeah, I went with this instead. Otherwise I would have just done the single DVD because that'd be a lot faster. And when I put this first CD in, it said it was the community edition. So I guess this is whatever you could have gotten off their website, and I'm not entirely sure if it has all the power pack stuff, but it's 7 CDs, and that is how many CDs you would have with a power pack. So I'll just put it in and we're gonna find out. Hopefully it has drivers and everything works. Alright, the install here looks different background image to start with, and we have that Mandrake logo up in the corner there. Alright, this one is from March 3rd, 2004, so it's a bit newer. So on this CD here, I don't know if you'll be able to see, but it says Move 1.0. And I guess this came out before the official 10.0. I don't know the exact time frame or what they were doing. And we do have USB, so hopefully this will be the first one that has N4 support. And this is very similar to 9.1 and 9.2 for the installer. So let's just proceed through this. And they do give you the option to upgrade, which is pretty cool, but we're just gonna do a clean install. We'll use the existing partitions because it might take forever to format, and I don't want to have to wait for that. And we'll just leave it the same. Alright, so here we are going to format HDA1, and we'll leave HDA6 alone because it's the biggest one and it's just /home. So I guess this will be preserved from the other install that I have from 9.2. That's okay. So if this goes by really fast, like it just did, we might have N4 support finally. Because even that small partition would take like 2-3 minutes to format. And once again, we have a very similar setup here. I'll try and get as much stuff as possible. And we'll skip the server stuff. We'll do some individual stuff as well. LSB. Okay, let's not do LSB. I forget what that is exactly. Is that Linux system base? Okay, Linux standard base. Okay, well, I want to get the new kernel, so that'd be 2.6. So we're gonna skip that. Yeah, so that would bring along 2.4 kernel. Definitely want the new one for better N4 support. So just doing a couple Wikipedia searches, and MandrakeMove is apparently a live CD edition of Mandrakelinux. But besides that, there's not really any information about those on Wikipedia. But the ones that I have here for 10, they might not actually be a live CD. Because it says the Mandriva version from 2007 was a live CD. So this is just for absolute Linux beginners to get started with it. Alright, here it says it's the download version, which is what Community Edition means. And apparently it doesn't have any commercial software or graphics drivers, so what it's using now is the open source driver. And I don't think I'm going to install the driver unless something isn't working, because I don't think I'm going to install Soldier of Fortune this time. Just want to strictly check out Mandrake, see how it differs from 9.2. More than likely I could have just grabbed that DVD and burned just a single disc, because if this doesn't have any commercial software or drivers, then I think these other CDs are just more open source software. Still got it there. I'll do auto login. Always like that feature. Alright. Sound Blaster Live is detected. GeForce 2 is detected. Probably just open source driver. Not gonna mess with it. I do have networking. Thing is, I'm not sure which chipset it is. It is gigabit, but I don't think it's supported, so we'll just skip that. And then that'll be it. Skip that, don't have networking. So it didn't use anything past the first 4 installation CDs. Actually, it used one of the contrib CDs, but that's it. I do like this background. It's... oh no. See, it's so weird that the install is perfectly fine and then you install it and you get to X and then it just does this crap. So now we're gonna install. Well, something works with the speakers. It's kind of a shock. Alright. Always forget to do this. That should work. Does this not support the 2.6 kernel? Oh no. I'm just doing those settings based off of what Claude told me. It seems like the issue is possibly that's using like that 83 refresh rate, and that's not right. Pretty sure this monitor only goes up to 60. Hey! Nice! Yeah, I'm not gonna... is that fine? Yeah. Okay. Well, okay, this is not great. Some issues here with this, oh, you know what? It copied some of my settings. That's nice. Because in the last video, if you saw that, I did change this background here to the gear, which is pretty cool. So yeah, that's because I didn't wipe out that one partition. And now I have this like weird zoom effect because the monitor is probably not configured right. Yeah, let me do some stuff, try and figure this out. Alright, yeah, that was really easy. Basically, just had to set the correct resolution, and then I guess it fixed everything else. So, we are in Mandrakelinux 10.0. And this feels about the same as 9.2. Like, I'm not really seeing much of a difference. So, main thing is it's not dumbed down for people that are first starting out. So, you actually see what the application names are in here. Well, might as well check out OpenOffice. Might be the same version. Well, it looks the same, that's for sure. And I think it opened a bit faster, so what I want to do now is try and get HD Parm installed. Okay, it is installed, that's good. We'll just try it on HDA. So we should be able to get at least 50 megabytes read if UDMA is working properly now with Enforce. Oh yeah, we have Enforce 2 support finally. Alright, so we have almost 60 megabytes per second on this mechanical hard drive. That's fantastic. And if you remember the other Mandrake videos, when I swapped this board from the ECS to the Enforce, I was only getting like 2 megabytes per second. And it was even worse than the ECS board, which was getting like 5. So yeah, we finally have good disk speed. And that's why it felt a little faster loading in there. And doing like some basic tasks as well. So now, let's see if these speakers are working. And there was that annoying hum. I don't know if that's gonna be there or not. Okay, there's no hum. So we might have to install Swords of Fortune just so I can get some sound in a game finally. Okay, for now, just check this out. See if we have Tux Racer. Okay. Hey! Performance is terrible because it's that open source driver, but whatever. It is running. Very poorly. Oh man, I can't even control this. This is horrible. Anyway. I would definitely call that unplayable. That is horrible. Let's try out Chromium in here. Ooh, the audio's a little laggy. Ooh. It's like having trouble hooking the mouse. Yeah, this is not... No, this is not playable at all. I think I'm getting 3 FPS, 4 FPS. I can't even close it. Yeah, I just killed the whole X session there. Can't remember what that shortcut I was using was to actually kill one program. Yeah, Control Alt Escape. Yeah, alright. So we have sound working. Graphics, pretty terrible. So we'll see what some of the applications are like. So you got, looks like a event planner. Yeah, because I've seen like cost in here, resources. Not something I would have ever used back then, or even now. Let's try K-arm. I think I looked at this before. It's like a alarm manager type thing. Not that interesting. We still have Mozilla. So this would have been basically Netscape. And this is before the rebrand to Firefox. And one interesting thing is this Dr. Web thing. I guess it was antivirus. I've seen ads for it in the installer on this version and 9.2, I believe. And you also have Thaughty, which I believe that's also some kind of antivirus. Although when I think of Thaughty, I think of SSL. Not sure why. Might be wrong. But yeah, we can't really browse anything because there's no networking support. So, still need to like upgrade to get networking, I think. Let's see what else we have. We have, what is, okay, Node. Groupware chat. Sure, why not? Alright. So this is for browsing news groups, I believe. At least this section right in here. I must have typed this on, yeah, on the previous install. Kmail, I guess Kmail is like embedded in this program, that contact program. Okay. Copeti, instant messaging. So no game? This kind of looks like Pigeon. Maybe this is an early iteration of it. see what it supported. Okay, your basic stuff: AIM, ICQ, MSN, IRC, Jabber, Yahoo, SMS. Really? Wonder how that worked. SMS send. I guess you would have. Yeah, you would have set up like some kind of SMS gateway, and then it would just send your text to them, and then they would forward it out through the cell service or whatever. Totem media player. Just GNOME. Oh god. I assume that's a open source driver issue right there. The frame rate's so low that it like lags. Address manager. Okay, this is just like a shortcut to that contact program. Okay, kcalc, calculator. Yeah, that's functional, but yeah, I don't like the style of that. I always disliked the old school Linux calculators. They just didn't seem very polished. XChat, IRC. Yeah, I have used that before. Not back in the day, but more modern version of it. Fax. Oh, Knotes. Okay, they literally combined all these apps into this single program here. Interesting. Wonder if you can still put a note on your desktop like you could do in I think 9.2 is when I showcased that. Oh, Kden Live? No way. Should I edit this video on here? I don't think that would go very well. It would look terrible because it doesn't support H.265, which is what I record in. Yeah, good luck even viewing one frame of that at 4K on this system. No way. So I saw something else. K-Bear, yeah. I want to look at this. FTP client. Wow, why are there so many options? That's crazy. Okay. Yeah, that was another thing. All these tips would always pop up on like every application. After a while, it gets kind of annoying. Okay, this is interesting. It's, you have a free floating window in the middle here. Okay. Site manager. Oh, that's cool. So, oh, so they gave you a whole bunch of FTP servers that you could connect to and download files from. That's cool. That's a lot of websites. Looks way more advanced than just a basic FTP client, like a graphical one. CD burning. Nautilus CD burning. I do have a disk in there, but yeah. Okay, this is for GNOME, obviously, because it's Nautilus. Yeah, this is like so basic. I guess Nautilus is the shell. Okay, this is probably just Nautilus, and then it went to whatever CD file path this is at. So this is just part of their like shell, I guess, for GNOME. And they've removed that functionality in modern versions. Like, you can't burn CDs unless you get a third-party tool. Check out K3B. I don't think you can burn at 32x. Maybe, but did you know? Yeah, this is, if I was burning CDs back then on Linux, definitely this. The other one's just too basic, and this you can actually make projects, so you can copy CDs and whatever else through the GUI. Maybe the GNOME one has that functionality, but it's like part of the file browser, which I'm not really a fan of. Okay, Arc is still around today. I believe it looks similar as well, just updated. Of course, GNU cache is always part of any Linux system. I think I did poke around on this before, back in the day. Just seems like such a pain because everything nowadays is like auto-synced. And here you have to add every transaction manually, but if you were bouncing a checkbook back then, I'm sure that would have been much better. K-Reg expression editor. Okay. So if you're not a developer, you would not know what this is. Like if you install this just as like a Windows user, yeah, you would not have any clue what this is. So in printing here, looks like they gave you a bunch of options to set up various printers and do various things. It's kind of a weird thing to have in your like main menu system here. And there's like, it expands out to way too many things. Let's try see what find files is. Oh yeah, I've used this a lot back then. I was trying to find some weird library or whatever. It's always using this thing to find it. Don't think it worked the best though. Let's check out some development tools. Okay, you got Kdevelop 3.0. I wonder how many people used this back then. Let's do... Wow, they have a lot of example projects. That's great. So yeah, if you were just starting out learning stuff, this probably would have been really handy because it had all these examples. Version control. No Git. Wonder when Git actually came out. I'm gonna check that real quick. Yeah, first release of Git was April 7th, 2005. So this predates that. And a cool thing about KDE is it uses Qt, which is a pretty awesome GUI library that's cross-platform and basically runs on everything. And this is Qt3, which is extremely old. No make. Just want to run like the simple program here. Yeah, it's like I got this example project, but I can't even run it. Configure maybe? No. Yeah, I don't even know. It should have already made like all the make files and whatever it needs. Shouldn't have to really do much. Should be able to just hit like F5. Well, F5 is refresh on this system, but you know, it should just run. You shouldn't have to screw around with this. So yeah, that's why I never really developed anything on old Linux, because I could never figure out how to actually compile things and run them. So whenever I wanted to actually write programs, I just went on Windows because Visual Studio was just so much easier. And I always wanted Visual Studio on Linux, but that just never happened until we got VS Code and all that, and it's just a lot easier now to do things. I believe I looked at this before on another Mandrake video. So this came with Mozilla or Netscape or Firefox, and it's just a simple web page builder, and nobody uses things like this anymore. Everyone generally just writes HTML, I believe, or uses some kind of framework to generate the HTML for you. So in the hardware list, it is detecting this gigabit Ethernet controller, and it is via, because that's what the VT means, but there's no module for it, so there's no drivers. And I don't think it's detecting what type of controller it is for the IDE bus either. It doesn't say a vendor, and there's no driver info, but UDMA is clearly working if I'm getting almost 60 megabytes per second writes, which is great. Actually, that might have been reads. I think it was reads. And my Silicon Image SATA controller is being detected now, but I'm not using any SATA devices, so it's just kind of in there. Okay, it's detecting the joystick and my keyboard. So yeah, we finally have audio working, which is great. But yeah, I'm not really liking this version of Mandrake that much, simply because there were so many issues getting it up and running. Like even 9.0, that worked a lot better. It's easier experience out of the box. Well, there's not too much left to do on this system with Mandrake 10. It's a pretty big bummer that I couldn't get those MandrakeMove CDs to work. I couldn't even get the thing installed with text setup. So there's definitely a lot of bugs in that, or just some hardware compatibility problems. So even though this version of Mandrake is newer, I still feel like the PowerPack 9.0 is the best release so far, because it had all that commercial software support and had so many games, so many different packages to install, just like an infinite amount of software. And this, even though I selected a bunch of things during the install, doesn't seem like there's a whole lot, and probably could have just fit all that on like 2 or 3 CDs. And of course the NVIDIA graphics drivers just couldn't install either, so there's a lot of just weird issues. And the only thing good about this is we finally got UDMA and the Sound Blaster Live works, so it's finally a new enough version where most of the hardware works. But I'm gonna have to upgrade this again to 10.1, see what happens with that, see if there's better hardware compatibility and all that, especially with the networking. That's the last thing that I need to get working. But anyway, that's been my first look at Mandrakelinux 10.0. If you've enjoyed this video, like, share, and subscribe. Leave me a comment what you want to see next, and I'll see you in the next one.